Hello, class 3. Hope you're all well. Not getting too stressed, finding productive things to do with your time. Not spending all your day in your pyjamas. Right, this one I'm going to start as usual lying down, and I've got a bit of up on the knees work to do. Again, if it doesn't suit you, you might want to get a towel to put under your knees, or get your cushion, check you've got enough space, get your mat. It's annoying when you've got going to have to stop and find stuff, so get it all before you get going. Again, if you find the kneeling work doesn't suit you, I'll remind you about the sitting options, but just turn it off at that point and go and get another video and have a go at the seated work there if you prefer. Right then, so lying down on your mat. Knees bent or straight, whatever suits you. Relax your body. You're going to work a lot better if you're relaxed to start with. So give yourself as much time as you need to. Try not to fall asleep. Feel your ribcage expand and contract as you breathe. Feel your shoulders start to relax. Still keep the spine lengthened. You're not sinking down into the mat. You've still got your natural curve in your mat, in your lower back. And then start to turn your head from side to side. It's a good move just to remind you to relax the muscles in the face. So you're not frowning or tightening on your teeth. Then gives you time to think about your shoulder position. And hold that position for a little bit longer when it feels good for you. You never want to push through tightness. You just want to go to the range of motion and stay there and breathe, and then that range of motion will naturally develop. Allowing your ribcage to expand and contract as you breathe. Just do one more of these. And then we'll come back to centre and onto the shoulders. So we'll start with the arm bent. It's just lighter. So start to circle that arm round. You don't have to hold your shoulder. Just stirring the elbow around. I'd do sort of 5-ish in each direction. More if you need to. You don't want to get bored though and switch your brain off. And when you've done that one arm in both directions, flip over to the other. I watched Mr. Motivator this morning, if anybody saw him. Takes me right back. He's still good. Both directions with this arm. Starting to loosen up. And then you can do both together. Starting to expand the chest muscles a little bit as the elbows go back and down. Really breathing deep as your elbows go towards the floor. Breathing in, expanding the chest. Take your time. Both directions again, just to work through the front and back of that torso. And you've got the choice then, you might have already moved on. If you want to, you can go into straight arms. You can do one arm at a time for a few, and then the other arm. Just try and keep the ribcage pulled down. Remember, you're not overreaching, you'll just get cramp in your back. Just circling around, nice and soft elbows, and then you can do both together if you want to. Just start to feel the spine straighten. So we're just getting those muscles in your back, just starting to work a bit, not overworking though. Nice big circles. Check the neck hasn't tightened. Just check if you've pushed your chin up to the ceiling. Just reset the head. And then you can leave your arms back. And at this point, if you've had your legs bent like me, you might want to straighten the legs. Just check the shoulders haven't bunched. And enjoy that nice length and give the discs in your spine a little bit of space. So they'll be nice and spongy and responsive. And then we'll do across the chest. So if you want to, hands underneath the head, or if you find that too much, arms out to the side is fine. Otherwise, hands under the head, you're going to bring the elbows in and out, just feeling that slight squeeze of the shoulder blades together as the elbows travel out. Try not to press too hard against your edge, your eyes might bulge out. I'm starting to get to like this idea of teaching at you rather than to you. It might become a thing. You might find when we come back to the big venues, I'll be in the kitchen teaching remotely. Squeeze, open up the chest. And again, stay here a little bit longer when it feels good for you. Breathe right deep into your belly. It's time to get oxygen into this body. Okay, I'm going to put an extra shoulder move on now. So take your elbows out to the side. You want your elbow roughly level with the top of your shoulder and your fingers level with your elbow. We'll do one at a time to start with. And you can turn your head and watch the arm move if you want. You're just moving it backwards and forwards. Don't force it. It doesn't need to touch the floor. You're just working through that arm. Try and keep your wrists straight. Try to avoid that temptation of pulling back in order to touch the floor. When you've done a few on the one arm, you can flip over and do the other arm. I'm not going to turn my head that way because I'll be talking to the wall. And again, if you want to, you can do both arms together. Just a quick warning, your body's not symmetrical. You're not going to have the same motion in both sides. So don't force a move. So if one of your shoulders is a little bit tight, you don't force it to match the other one. You just go with what it can do. What you can do, if you want to, if you are finding your shoulders are getting tight, as long as there's no pain, you can always hold a weight, and it can be anything. Tin of beans, if you can get any. Just to work, and you can hold that stretch then with the weight in your hand. Try not to press heavy on your elbows, because your elbows wouldn't be niggled by that. Just letting the arms move, and again you can hold that stretch. Just let your hands sit on that cushion of air. Good for keeping the rotator cuff mobilised. Okay, and then we're going to move into our twist. So arms out to the side, knees bent, cushion between the knees if you find that more comfortable, relax the shoulders and then twist. Take the legs over to one side, trying to lengthen through that top leg. Turn your head and look the opposite way if you want to. Back to centre when you're ready and over. Remember, you're going to have more flexibility one side than the other, so don't force a stretch. Just go in with your body. If you do feel uncomfortable in the inside of that hip, just let the top leg lift slightly if you're not using the cushion. Reaching through. Use your breath if you want, breathe out as you twist out. Breathe in as you return in. Try and have your feet stacked. If your feet are flat to the floor, there's a tendency to kind of not really twist, so have your feet stacked if you can. And again, remember, you can develop this move by stretching through the top leg, as long as you're not going to kick anything over. Pushing out through the heel will lengthen through the calf and the hamstrings. If you hear any odd noises today, Benny is in the room. I'm hoping he stays on his sofa. Twisting. Just remember, you're doing this at home, I can't see you. So work within your range. It's going to vary day to day, so make sure you're keeping yourself hydrated, because that will affect your flexibility and your concentration if you're not getting enough water, so remember that. And just check around you that there's nothing going to trip you up or get knocked over, pets especially. One more each way. And then come back to centre. And we're going to just stretch out the glutes and the lower back, bringing the knees into the chest. Remember, if you're not comfortable in this position, you can keep your feet on the floor and just let the pelvis gently rock backwards and forwards if you prefer, but otherwise bring the knees in. Don't yank, let them come in as far as they want to, and then cradle around the back or around the front. And you're just getting that nice stretch through the spine and into the glutes, relaxing the shoulders. Breathe, just allow yourself a minute to just to lie still. You might find you need to lift and reset your head. Sometimes the chin pings up when you stretch the hamstrings, so reset the head. And stay still if it suits you, or start to move. Gently rocking the knees in and out, massaging the spine. Hands around the back if you prefer. But the arms should be quite relaxed. It's not a tense upper body when you do this move. Again, if you like to set your breathing to your exercise, if you breathe in, and then as you start to breathe out, draw the knees in towards you. Don't get hung up. I don't go on too much about the breathing because I find it just takes over the moves. But all you're looking really in the warm-up is to use your breath to allow you to relax into the move, rather than fighting with yourself. So if you breathe out in a nice stretchy bit of the move, it might give you a bit more movement. And then you'll start to notice all those tight muscles. So you can start to move around if you want to. Massaging as you go. Keep checking the neck and shoulders that are not bunching up. If they do, just stop the move, reset yourself, and then start again when you're ready. And again, hip replacements, I would stay with the legs together. It just supports the legs a little bit more. But the rest of you, if you want, you can separate the legs and do circles on their own. Massaging into those hip joints. Okay, and then we're going to get into the legs a little bit more. So feet down to start with. Relax the shoulders, reset shoulders, hips, try and get the pelvis parallel to the floor, an inch. And then you're going to start to straighten and bend the legs, just one at a time. This is where you really start to think about stabilising the pelvis, remember. So we're trying to keep that glass of water balanced on the belly as the leg moves. So we're not twisting or dropping through the spine. It stays really level from belly button to pubic bone. So a slight tension, sort of tension if I came along and tickled you. Stretch out through the legs. You can add an ankle circle on there if you want at the end. Starting to get the legs warmed up and stretching out. And you can stay with this. This is a low version. Or if you want to, you can bring the leg up towards the ceiling. Remember, it's not about getting the legs straight, this one. It's about just getting that stretch on the back of your leg. So try and resist that temptation to push forward just to get the legs straight. You're going up. The other leg is quite relaxed on the floor, so you're not pushing with the other leg. Just one leg lifting. And add your ankle rotation on if you want at the end. It's good for just getting all around those calf muscles, stretching as well. And then you've got the choice of bringing both feet off the floor if you want to. Just do one leg at a time to start with, hands just resting at the back of the legs, just so the legs have got something to rest against. Pushing up, adding your ankle rotation on. And then you can do both together if you want. Relaxing the shoulders. You might hear some creaks in those ankles and toes as they start to move. And if you're comfortable with your feet up, you can let go with your arms. Abdominals are going to have to do some work. We don't want the legs kind of hanging from that lower back. So a little squeeze of ribs to hips, keeping the leg muscles engaged, relaxing the shoulders. If you find that that's too much tension for your back, Just put the hands at the back of the legs in just to support the weight. Lovely. And then put the feet down and have a good stretch. You can let the rib cage lift a little bit now as long as your back feels okay with that, just to get a good stretch. And then we're going to do some work on the knees. So you put your feet back on the floor, work yourself over to one side of your mat, bring yourself up, check that you haven't gone dizzy. Again, if you're not getting enough water, you might go a little bit dizzy, so take a bit of time. Up onto your hands and knees, and then up onto your knees. If you want to put a towel under your knees, you can do, just give them a bit more support. And we're going to do our rotation. So, shoulders back and down. Check your tailbone is pointing down, not out and not under. So just straight down. Shoulders back and down, and then you're going to bring your arms into a box. Keep reaching up through your head. Pull your belly button in a little bit, and a little bit of a squeeze of your bum muscles. Remember your £10 note. And then you're going to twist. Come back to centre and twist. Now, the twist comes from the top, the torso. It doesn't come from the hips. So when you're twisting, your hips stays still. So as you rotate around, try and keep your hips level. As I'm taking my shoulders round to the right, my hip is not coming with me. So my hip stays square to the front. Keep reaching through your head. Again, if you like to set your breathing to the moves, if you breathe in at the centre and breathe out as you rotate. Now what we're trying to do here is build up our mobility in the torso. So when it starts to feel a little bit easier, when you find that you get to that end of range a little bit easier, stay there, breathe in, and you breathe out. You might find there's a little bit more movement. Don't force it. If there isn't, there isn't. But you might find you stay there, you breathe in, and you breathe out. Your body just gives you a little bit more movement once it's warmed up. Check the shoulders. These arms get surprisingly heavy and there's a temptation to drop forward or overreach. So find your neutral, get your shoulders down. You're going to be feeling these shoulders and arms working. It's a good one for building up flexibility in the torso and gets the obliques, the side muscles working. And then have a little rest. I'm going to get you to do it now with a little bit less stability. At the moment we've had both knees down, so it's been nice and stable. I'm going to get you to do it with one leg forward. If you find that's too much, stay with this or rest and watch it, and you'll always have a go next time. But what I want you to do is bring one leg forward, so you're off balance really. Your tailbone still points down, your chest is still lifted. On this forward leg, try and line your heel up with your knee. And it's just about shoulder width away from you. If it's too close, you're going to feel really wobbly. And then twist again. You're going to be using your legs a little bit more now for stability. You're going to have to reach through your head. And you're just going to be a little bit aware of that wobble. Did you hear that? That's Benny getting annoyed with me talking when he's trying to sleep. Okay, and then we'll have a go on the other leg. So I'll just flip round. No, I won't, because otherwise I'll just do the same side again. So bring the other leg forward, heel level with the knee. Knee just about level with your hip and shoulder. Not in too close. Stand up nice and sit up nice and tall. Little bum squeeze and twist. So it's going to get you to use your legs a little bit more. It's all part of your stability. Little bum squeeze will get you to stretch down the front of these hips as well. reaching through your head. One more. Remember, you can do more reps, you can stay longer with an exercise anytime you want to. Good. And then come back. Have a little rest if you want to. If your legs are starting to feel a bit achy, you want to just come down on all fours for a minute, just have a rest. We haven't quite finished up on the knees yet. So what I'd like to do then, if you are finding your knees don't want to do any more, just sit on your bum, because the next one we're going to do is just to reach over. So knees about hip distance, shoulders back and down, bum muscles holding the 10-pound note, abdominals tight. You're going to slide your hand down your leg. If your shoulder allows, the other arm's going to come up and over. And then again, set it to your breathing if you like. Breathe out as you reach over. Good. Now this isn't about going a long way. I want you to keep your head and hips level so there's not a twist in order to reach further. Going over the top. And you're going to get a stretch down the side of the body. If you do prefer to sit, it's exactly the same. Just reach over. Being on the knees is quite useful because it's basically a shortened version of being upright. So you're going to have a little bit more leg and hip work going on. Good. And again, if you want to challenge your stability a bit more, you can do it with the one leg forward again. Set yourself up, roll the shoulders, squeeze the bum, lift the torso and then reach over. And again, you're going to feel your legs working a little bit more to give you that bit of stability. So it's good for getting the nerves in the feet working. I warned you that I'd have time for reading, didn't I? Just little options, keeping the brain active as well as the body. Just giving that bit of wobble. And when you've done a few with the one leg in front, you just flip to the other leg. Always set yourself up, don't go straight into it. Posture's really important, so make sure you're using your joints in their best way and not going to injure yourself. Keeping your 10-pound notes slotted between your buttocks. Nothing else to do with them at the moment, have you? Chest lifted. Okay, and then a little rest, and then we've got our lean back, and that's a challenge. So give yourself a rest on all fours or sitting on your side for a second, yourself a breather, and then we've got our lean back. Now this is a toughie. It's particularly tough for people who are very flexible in their spine because you've got to keep a really straight line. So up nice and straight, bum muscles switched on, torso lengthened, feet wide enough apart to feel balanced, and then you're going to let your torso lean back. Only as far as you can hold the shape, and then upright. What I don't want is belly sticking out, shoulders going back, or sitting down into it. So nice straight body, and it's just like somebody is pushing you backwards. Find the work in your feet, they're going to work. Keep your hips and shoulders stable, and pull yourself up from those front muscles. If it doesn't suit you, carry on if it does, but if it doesn't, this is the option, is to sit up nice and straight and try and pick your feet up off the floor. Still keeping the torso lengthened, you're still going to be using the leg muscles, but you haven't got that risk leaning back and overworking the lower back. Find that position where you're holding your weight, legs are working, abdominals tight, bums switched on, and pull yourself up. Told you it was a toughie. You're going to feel these thighs working. Squeeze that centre. If you're feeling it in lower back, check your shoulder and hip position. Belly should be pulled in, not pushing out. Good. I'm going to do one more. If you want to do more than that, you just stop me and do a few more. And then it's nice to come onto the hands and knees. Good, well done. Then we'll do our cat and cow. So like we've been doing lately, I'm going to break cat and cow down. We're going to do just little tilts to start with. Just bending and stretching. So at first it's really only the lumbar spine that's moving. And bit by bit, we start to build it up. So each time you move, you feel one more vertebrae join the move. So if your head is going up and down right from the start, try and keep it neutral. So try and look between your hands and keep your head still until you've worked a little bit more up the spine. It's difficult to feel where the work's coming from if your head's doing this business. And I want you to feel the abdominals contracting as you bring your hips under, and your abdominals stretching as you take your hips back. I know some of you find the arch in the back difficult to do, so remember you've got the option of doing a few flexions where you round the spine and come back to neutral, and then coming back up on those knees and leaning back that way if you prefer. Lifting the chest. You might find that suits you better and gets the thoracic spine involved where this one might not. So find the one that suits you. If you're struggling with any of the moves and I'm not giving enough options, just let me know. It's hard when I can't see you to know if what I'm saying is making sense, even more than normal. So just drop me a line, WhatsApp, text, email, carrier pigeon, I don't mind how you send it. Just let me know. So you've probably got to a full stretch now. Use your arms, so when you're rounding your back, press down into the floor. When you get the full spine involved, when that rib cage is involved, use your arms. When you arch the back, slide your shoulders together and down, lifting the chest. You might find you're comfortable to release the neck and lift the head slightly. One more. Lovely. And then we're going to come to our 3/4 plank. You'll be pleased to know there's no knee hovers today. You've done those on the last two, but we'll do our 3/4 plank just to get all this spine involved and particularly get the front abdominals working a bit more. So bring your hands further forward, relax the shoulders. Now you're going to use your arms on this one. So as your weight starts to come forward, I want you to push the floor away with your arms, activate your arm muscles, clench your bum, keep your chest lifted and push the floor away. Breathe from your rib cage, try not to release your belly as you breathe. See if you can stay here for 2 breaths. And then back up onto your knees and sit your hips back. Just lightly tucking your chin in as you sit back. Hip replacements, listen, don't force any stretch, only as far as that wants to go. Nice stretch down the spine. So on the way forward, it's a strength move. Push the floor away, keep the torso lifted. Try and resist this hanging from the shoulders. So you're pushing the floor away, lifting yourself away from the floor. Hold it for a couple of breaths. Helps you practice this lateral breathing where your rib cage expands and your belly stays tight. Back up. And this is the stretch bit. Enjoy it. Relaxing the neck. So on the way forward, feel your body switching on and holding you away from that floor. I'm going to give a harder version of this if you want it. As always, it's an if you want. So for that, you're going to tuck the toes, straighten the legs. I would do one at a time. Feel the work. Feel more of your core muscles switching on, more stability. From here, up to that V shape. Push up. And straighten. The V comes with a few warnings, not for later stages of pregnancy, and if you've had any issues with eye pressure, I would stay on your knees, pushing the floor away, pushing up. Any uncontrolled high blood pressure, you have to be careful, but Hopefully you've got your blood pressure sorted out. If it is high, it's not uncontrolled. Push up. Come back to your plank. Lengthen again, engage the arms. Going to do one more. And then we're going to rest. You can sit into your child's pose if it suits you for a stretch. But we're going to lie down on the belly, so if you want to go there straight away you can. We're going to do our Swan Dive, so we're going to stretch the spine. Again, if it doesn't suit you, you can come up onto your knees. But otherwise, lie yourself down on your front. Have your arms down by your sides. And you're going to start to retract the shoulders. So you're just pulling your shoulder blades together and releasing them. So just a few of these at first. And you might find, especially if you've got any sort of round shoulder thing going on at the moment, that this is as much as you want to do. Just pulling the shoulders back. If you don't want to lie on your belly, doesn't suit everybody that, up on your knees again, or sitting, just to keep pulling the shoulders back. Useful this if you are working from home and you're doing a lot of sitting at a laptop. You probably haven't got the best desk position unless you already work from home. So every now and then just keep pulling those shoulders back. But lying down if you want, and then you can go into your Swan Dive. So you pull the shoulders back like you've just done. You stretch through the spine, engage the abdominals and the bum, and then you peel slightly up. Use your back muscles to lift you, and then back down. Try not to push. So if your feet are pinging off the floor, there's a tempt that you might be pushing down on your hip bone. So you stretch, pull back and lengthen through the spine. If you heard that then, I think that means Benny doesn't like this one. So pull back, breathe in, as you breathe out, lengthen through the spine. Use your back muscles to lift you. And back down. Stretch, draw the shoulders back and down and peel up. Use the muscles in your spine to lift you. Abdominals are tight, bum muscles are tight. One more. And then we're going to go into a nice back stretch. So bring your hands out in front. Quite a way in front to start because we're going to start with quite a small stretch. So you're just going to use your back muscles again and your arms together just to peel you up a bit higher. Try not to hunch into your shoulders. Nice long neck. And down. And that might be as much as you do. Or if you're feeling a little bit more flexible, you can just start sliding your hands towards you and finding the right stretch for you. The closer your hands are to the shoulder, then the bigger the stretch will be. But it needs to be your back doing the work and your arms giving support. So what I don't want you to do is bring your hands really close and just push. So that's just all coming from the arms. So you're peeling up. Again, if you find lying on your front doing this doesn't suit you, especially if you're doing it after a meal, then up on the knees and stretching that way. You can make that stretch deeper if you want to by pulling the shoulders back and sliding your hands down your back. Again, it's quite a nice one to do if you've been using your laptop or been in the garden all day. Just give it a good stretch. So either way, I forgot what I was doing then. Okay, and then we've got our chest opener. So you're going to lie on your side, whichever side you fancy. Get your shoulders comfortable, get your knees comfortable. Use your pillows, your cushions. You can put one between your knees, one under your head, one under your torso if you want to. Get yourself comfy. See, they laughed when you bought all those cushions, didn't they? Yeah, see? Yeah. Roll the shoulders back, lengthen the spine. Knees can be bent, well, knees will be bent, but they can be stacked, or you can have your top knee in front. Arm out in front, reset the shoulders and lift. So twist, remember, lengthen through the arm. Make the legs nice and heavy, so you're gently pressing through your knees as you reach back with your fingers to the ceiling and down to the floor. Lift, As your arm goes up, just draw the rib cage up slightly underneath you and keep it lifted as you reach back. Support your head, that stretch. And again, stay there as long as feels right for you. What you don't want to do is hold position and grit your teeth and think, oh, this is doing me good, this is. It's not. Reach out. You stay there for as long as feels right for you. You can use your breath because it's a flexibility move. That will help you. So reach up, breathe in, and allow that out breath to let your body relax. There's another breath here if you want to. Keep drawing that rib cage up from the floor. If you find you haven't got enough stability with your knees stacked, topping you down on the floor will help. One more. Good. And then we've got our legs to do. We're going to do a circle today. Now, circle, quite a lot of flexibility and strength needed, so I'll break it down. So have your bottom leg bent, your top leg straight, and stretch out through your spine. Draw your rib cage up, square your hips. So you might want to spend a minute just checking that those hips are level, that you're not dropping down underneath you. Relax the shoulders. And you can stay here. You can stay with lifting to hip height, holding for about 5 seconds and lowering. So you're working on the stability around the centre and the strength in the leg. So again, any hip replacements, any sacroiliac issues, this is probably enough work. Keep lengthen through the spine, hold that leg up, use the muscles in the leg. If you do want to do the circle, then you lift and you circle within the hip joint. So you're not working around your waist, just within that hip joint. Keep pulling the rib cage and lengthen through the spine. Stretch out. With my attention span, 5 is enough for me. I'll start to switch off then. But you can do more. I wouldn't do more than 8 though, because just gets boring. And then reverse your circle. You can make the circle small and then build it up. Or you can go to where your full range is and stay there. But it's not snake hips. Keep the hips still. As much as you can, lengthen through the spine, and you're building up the strength in your bum, down the leg and around this hip. So for me that feels like I've done enough, but if you want to do more, you can. And then we've got our circle to do. So get yourself comfy. This is our suggestive shoulder. So any rotator cuff injuries, you start with it, you keep the arm low. So start with just going to circle the shoulder, circling it round, opening up through the chest and through the back. If that feels like it's not quite enough work, your next option is to keep the elbow bent and circle around that way. And your full option, if you want, is with a straight arm. Just check the ornaments. This is usually where I hear water bottles flying around the room. Circle around. You can reach forward a little bit as long as you're not putting pressure on your bottom shoulder. You're reaching back, letting your head follow your arm, opening up. And you can reverse that circle if you want to. Again, start small if you want. So circling your shoulder, it's almost like a shoulder roll or bent elbow, coming forward. Open. It's a nice one for opening across the back, this one. And if you want to, you can make it your full arm circle. So you're reaching forward and then back. Just check the shoulder underneath you, that it's not getting too uncomfortable. You might want to put a pillow there or a couple of pillows and just bring your arm out in front if that shoulder's starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable with the move. Reaching forward. it's getting these side muscles all working, mobilising the spine. And then, side plank. Side plank, remember, tough move on the shoulder. So I will give you all the options, and those of you familiar with it, remember you've always got the option of coming up onto the knees and swaying if you don't like side plank. But if you're going to do it, it's a good one for the strength, on your hand or your elbow. Starting with the knees bent and lifting that torso. Checking your neck is neutral, so you're not tipped one way or the other, and trying to lift away from this shoulder. You can raise your top arm and imagine being pulled up in that direction. If you want to work a little bit harder, straighten the top leg and push through the heel. That will help you lift that rib cage a bit more. And then we're into the actual lift. You can stay on your forearm, or I prefer to come up on my hand, and then you lift up. Arm is activated, pushing the floor away, legs are supporting you, reaching and down. So you reach up, push down through the arm, legs are stabilising you. If you can, stay up, square the chest and the hips, tighten the abdominal muscles, £10 note between the buttocks, squeeze it and lift the leg. Hold it for a few seconds. 5 seconds for me feels like enough work. Not that much, so I'm going to cramp. So find the right amount for you. And down. You can do that down on your forearm if you want to. Your bottom leg is going to be working. You're going to feel it because it's stabilising the move. So that bottom leg bent is going to be working, whichever option you're doing. So you are going to be using that leg pretty much as the arm. If you are doing it on your hand, this leg's not going to lift very high. If you're on your elbow, it's going to lift to about hip height. Good. Couple more. Lift, pull the rib cage, lengthen away from the shoulder, lift the leg if you can. One more. Squeeze those buttocks. Smashing. Right, to the side. Roll over. Chest open to start with, so get yourself down and comfortable. Remember, you're not symmetrical, so you might need cushions this side that you didn't need the other, so get what you need. Grab a drink anytime you need to. Get yourself comfortable, get your knees bent, lift the rib cage, put a cushion underneath if you need to, one between the knees if you want, one underneath the head. Just to prove that you didn't buy them as a waste, they would come in, you knew they would. Arm out in front, lift and twist. Good, and then up. So these side moves, the strength moves are quite demanding. So enjoy the flexibility moves. Give yourself time to reset and breathe. So reach up, keep the chest square, ribcage lightly lifted and pulled up from the floor, and then reaching out. Legs are heavy, giving you that stability so you can reach through the arm without that risk of falling backwards. Come up and down, good. Lift, twist. So you're going to be feeling your legs working. You might feel the pressure on your feet. It's all part of your stability. Squeeze the rib cage. Good. Use your breath. Hold it. Feel that rib cage expand and contract. And do one more. And then we're into our legs. So remember this one, we're going to do the circling if it's appropriate for you. So bottom leg bent, rib cage lifted, hips square, and check that. So quite often when I walk round, I'll come to you and I'll get you to move, just to move the hip down as if I'm pulling your foot away. It's because as the leg lifts, there's a tendency to drop down and the pelvis is offline. So push through the heel a little bit, lift the rib cage, square the hips, and then tie your belt around the middle to hold it still. And you can stay with this, lifting the leg, holding it for a few seconds and lowering it, and trying to keep the pelvis square as the leg lifts. So this is good if you have any sacroiliac issues, where you're just trying to build the stability around the pelvis. If you've had any hip replacement where you want to keep it strong, you don't want to overwork the mobility on it. But otherwise, if you want, lift the leg and then start your circles. And you can just go to your full circle from the start and really challenge the muscles, or you can build it up. It's whatever you fancy really, it's all going to work you. And I would do about 5 circles, because that's a number that suits me. And then you reverse your circle. And you're trying to work within the hip joint. So the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, all working around that joint rather than wobbling around the centre. Lengthen through your spine. Check the pressure under your shoulder. If you're pushing hard on your shoulder, it's because these have switched off a bit. So push through your heel. And when you've had enough on that one, it's a tough old move. So when your legs are saying I'm tired, listen. Because if you keep pushing, then your technique starts to get a bit raggedy, and that's where you get your injuries. So when you've had enough, bend your legs. You can always do an extra session in the week. So come to your bent leg position, get your shoulder comfy, and then we've got another flexibility move. So we'll start with our suggestive shoulders, rolling round, starting to move through the front and back of the torso. Stay with this if you want, or bend the elbow and roll round. Starting to let the elbow come forward and back, or into your full arm. Check that you're not going to knock anything over. Reaching. Be mindful of the shoulder underneath you. It's there for support, but it doesn't want to be injured, so you're not pushing down on it as you're reaching. If you do find that it's taking too much load, that's where you want pillows under your head and your arm out in front instead, so it's not taking too much work. Reaching forward, reaching around, allowing your chest to open. And you can reverse the circle when you're ready. So you come back to centre, start with your roll. Can't really call it a suggestive shoulder when you're going forwards, it looks a bit strange. But anyway, rolling the shoulder. And if you want to, bring the elbow forward. Still opening back, but focus on a little bit more on coming forward to open up across your back. And then you can do your arm circle if you want to. Reaching back, reaching forward. Good. And it stretches the side muscles. These oblique muscles, the chest muscles, gets underneath the shoulder blade. Just be mindful of the pressure that you're putting in this bottom shoulder. And we're going to do one more. Cool. And then we've got our side plank. So, up on the elbow. I'll build it up again. If you know the level that you want to go to and you want to go straight there, that's fair enough. I'm just making sure that you're safe. If you're on your elbow, it's directly underneath your shoulder. If you're under hand, that's directly underneath your shoulder. Avoid being out here because there's nothing supporting that shoulder then. Knees bent, rib cage lifted, neck neutral, arm raised. And this is a core strength move. This is building up strength in the sides, around the neck and the shoulders. If you want to work harder, you straighten the top leg. Check you are on the side of your foot. If you're back here on your heel, then you're going to be lifting from the front of your body, and the shoulder's not going to like that. So you're lifting from the side. So check your foot. Use your bottom leg, your rib cage, and lift. And down, and again, on your hand if you prefer. It's more about personal choice, whichever suits you better. Anything to watch, I felt myself do it a bit then. If you're on your hand, you're not pushing forward. We're not making that big banana back, we are just going up and down. And if you want to, let your arm lift and lower with you if you want to, if that helps. And then if you want, you can lift the leg. So you come up to your bridge, your side plank, you raise your arm, you clench the buttocks, use this bottom leg for support and lift the top leg, reach through your head. Hold it for a few seconds and down, and you can do the same if you prefer on your forearm. I actually prefer this bit on the forearm because I feel like I can get a bit more work out my bum muscles. But again, bit of trial and error. See which way you can feel the work coming from around the hips. Squeeze, lengthen through your spine, pull the rib cage away from the floor. Using these bum muscles. Very good for your glutes, this one, your glute medius, your side bum muscles. Any runners out there? Lift up. Probably finding your training is not at what it was. You've got to keep strong. Squeeze. Couple more. If you can, always about technique. You're starting to find your technique's getting raggedy, that's where you get the injuries. So stop. And then down. Good. Down on your back. Nice bit of twisting after that one. Stretch these side muscles out again. Good. You can hold that stretch if it feels good. Nearly done there. Just got a little bit of supine work. Next video I'll do more supine work on your back. So I'm trying to vary it a bit really, so everybody gets to do something and challenges your brain a little bit because you don't want to get bored. I don't want to get bored. Yeah. Right, so then we've got our marching to do. So reset the shoulders, reset the hips. So now, close your eyes and picture yourself, feel on your holidays, lying in the middle of that warm swimming pool on your float. Somebody over in the distance is preparing you a cocktail for when you get there, no rush. Spread your weight out evenly on your float. We don't want to end up sinking. Feel the pressure underneath your head about the same as the pressure underneath your hips. Your feet, your knees bent and your feet wide enough apart to feel nice and steady, your toes spread out. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, just squeeze the abdominal muscles enough to support you, not to push back. I don't want you to flatten into the mat, I want you to keep your natural curve in your back. And then when you're ready, you're going to keep one foot on the floor, lengthen through the spine and lift the other foot just slightly off the mat, off the float. And down. And same on the other side. And what you're looking for is that your spine is lengthened, your abdominals are switched on, your shoulders are relaxed and down. And when you lift your foot off the floor, the pressure underneath your spine does not change. If you haven't switched enough core strength on, then your body will kind of drop about a bit. And you will drop into your hips or you will drop into your shoulder. So reset yourself, lengthen out again, zip up a little bit tighter and see if you can float the foot up. It's worth spending a little bit of time in supine in doing this move, because if you go straight into the bigger moves and you haven't switched enough strength on, then it's a bit of a waste. And you might want to stay with this. If you're having any issues with your lower back or your neck, or later stages of pregnancy, this might be enough to keep the strength going on in the centre without putting pressure in the lower back, without putting pressure in the neck. Otherwise though, if you wanted to work a little bit more, higher level, is you come to your knee fold. And your difference is you just bring the leg up higher. So more leg muscles switch on. Still got the pressure underneath your head, shoulders and hips the same. Still got a straight line down your front. You hold this for about your 5 seconds. Float the foot back to your mat. Same on the other side. And it's about keeping the centre still. Excuse me. So this is level 1 knee fold. It's going to work on the flexibility in your hip, the strength in your leg, the strength in your core. Those who want level 2 knee fold, if like me you're quite arched in your back, that might make lifting the second leg quite difficult to do. So to help, you just bring the knee a little bit closer. It tilts the pelvis and reduces the curve in your back. Abdominals are still switched on, so then you float the second leg up. Abdominals are tight, shoulders relaxed, spine is long. Have the knees bent so you're working your hamstrings. Hold it for about 5 seconds, one at a time back to the floor. And this is the one when I walk round, I want to see your legs look weightless. And when you've got the correct amount of core strength and stability in the torso, the leg looks like it floats. That's what we're looking for. Control it. Check the pressure underneath your head. Sometimes we push down rather than lengthen out. I don't want you to be kind of hobbit, hunched in on yourself. I want you to lengthen out, relaxing the shoulders. If you do find you overwork your arms, try turning your hands over. Just going to do me one more. And then have a stretch. Then we've got our hip lifts to finish. It's a nice one to finish with, it stretches everything out. So bend your knees again. Arms down by your sides. Check your feet. Alright, heels are just roughly underneath your knees for this one. If your feet are too far away, you're more likely to get cramp. Start by clenching those buttocks. Get your £10 note slotted in place. When you squeeze your bum muscles, that doesn't tilt your pelvis. So if you're finding that your glass balanced on your belly is tipping towards you, that's not you using your bum muscles, that's you using your front abdominal muscles. So you squeeze the bum and keep straight line from belly button to pubic bone. And again, that might be what you stay with. You might just stay with doing your bum clenches. Otherwise, check your feet are comfortably close, squeeze your bum muscles, and then you lift the hips up. And you put the hips down. Try and keep your head and shoulders still. You're not pushing along the mat, you're going up. So the front spine is lifting. Arms are helping at this stage. Just giving a little bit of pressure through the arms. Get your shoulders working and your triceps. Then if you want to come up to your bridge, squeeze the buttocks, squeeze the belly button and lift those arms up and back. So you're having to stay there without your arms helping you. And it's quite a nice back stretch. To the ceiling with the arms and then push your hands down to the mat and put your hips back to the floor. So you lift up. Check that pelvis. Sometimes it drops back or forwards and you feel it in the lower back. Straight line down the front, bum muscles squeezed, stretching through the thighs. Float the arms. If you want to challenge yourself on your stability, bring the knees and feet together. You're wobblier. You got to that bridge, it's harder to hold it. Bum muscles are going to have to work harder to hold you up in that bridge. You're going to feel them working. So pressing the legs together, squeezing the buttocks, coming up to your bridge. Get yourself comfortable and stable on your shoulders. Push through your legs. Lift the arms. You're going to be feeling this because we're going to get a lot tighter around these hips. If we're going to be doing more sitting, one more, up and reach. Keep lifting those hips up, don't hang. And then down. Well done. Bring the knees in, it'll feel nice after that. Just stretch these glute muscles out, just draw them in. You can have your knees about shoulder width apart if you want. Get into those hips. You might want to come to your happy baby where you hold your shins or hold your feet. If you're holding your feet, Push your feet into your fingers. Stretch these glutes, stretch the hamstrings, relax the shoulders. If you prefer to keep the knees bent, do so. If you're not happy with your feet off the floor at this stage, bring the soles of the feet together and the knees apart. We've done all the work. Now we're going to have a minute or two just lying still. Breathe. Fill your body up now. All your joints are more supple, hopefully. Blood has flowed around the body, re-energised. Enjoy it. So you can go stay in your happy baby position. Enjoy the stretch there, or you can bring your feet together, or you can lie with your legs straight, whatever feels like a good position for you to be in. Allowing your body to fill up and empty. You're going to do a couple more breaths and then begin to stand up. If you don't want to do any standing finishing, then you stay down here. You can just listen, or you can switch me off if you can without moving. Otherwise, you're going to bring your knees together, you're going to fidget to one side of your mat and roll over. Push yourself up. So you've got your hands underneath your shoulders. I wouldn't come up straight away because you might be a bit dizzy. Give yourself time, just let the blood move around your body a little bit more, and then push down on your hands onto your knees. If you need to then bring yourself to some furniture to stand up on, you can do. Otherwise, up to standing. Head comes up last. Shoulders back and down. Just going to finish with a little bit of standing work. We'll do more standing work next time. But all I want to do is just roll gently on your feet. So you haven't got to lift your toes and heels off the floor, but I just want your weight to rock forward and back slightly. So the front and back of your body is switching on. Just be aware you've got more obstacles in your living room than we had in the class. So you don't want to fall onto mantelpieces or anything like that. So keep the move steady. Use the wall, use a chair. Don't use somebody else. They might not be as stable as they look. And again, remember, if you're on carpet, your balance won't be as good on a softer floor. So if you're on carpet, you haven't suddenly gone wobbly and weak just because you've been in the house for a fortnight. You're just on carpet. But if you feel okay, let's just step on the floor for this one. If you feel okay with the rocking, you can make the move bigger. Soften the knees slightly, reach up through your head. Check that rib cage hasn't collapsed down. Sometimes if we're feeling a little bit anxious with our balance, we drop in on ourselves. It's false information. Lift up. You can hold that stretch for a few seconds and slowly lower the heels. This is good for stretching the calf muscles and the Achilles. So coming up, stretching those toe joints, and then down. Up. Find a spot to look at if you're feeling a little bit wobbly. She says, wobbly. Okay, a little bit of side to side work. So you might want your feet a little bit wider. We're going to finish with this one. So you're just rocking from side to side. On the side that's supporting your weight, reach up through that side of your body. Setting your weight on the one side. If you can, point the toe away from you. If that feels okay, lengthen through the top of your head. Find a spot to look at that isn't moving and lift the foot off the floor. And down. You will feel your ankle moving around, it's supposed to. You will be a little bit wobbly on that ankle, it's supposed to do it. Try and spread your toes out a little bit. Reach through the heel on this lifted leg. through the top of your head. If you've still got a bit more balance in you, come over, lengthen, spread the toes on the supporting leg, lift, raise the arms, reach through your fingers, relax your shoulders down away from your ears. Last one, come over, set your balance, squeeze the centre, lift the leg, lengthen through your foot, through your head, through your fingers, stretch, and down. Well done. Roll the shoulders. Give yourself a hug and a reach, open out, hug in, open out. Right, you're done. That's another one ticked off. I'll see you next time.